coordinate, do the Zoom link and on, like, how are you
No,
doing it?
it just once it goes on live, so there's a way for you to download your lives, and then it's
Okay,
there, and then I can add it to like YouTube or whatever, save it if I want to.
you got it. I didn't know you could do that. This is nifty.
Listen, I be out here learning things, friend.
I
Learning.
see. You have to teach.
Like, okay, apparently we streaming live right
That's
now.
what I'm saying. I thought we had to switch platforms and whatnot. This is cool.
we learning together. Cause I'm like,
It'll
where
be
all the
funny we
cute
do the
stuff
whole
go?
it'll be funny we do the whole segment. Ain't nobody on here because you didn't do it right.
Oh no, we here. Okay, I'm looking. I'm looking. Okay,
So I can't see the comments, but you can.
I can. So I have
Okay.
it. I had that pulled up
Okay.
that I could see.
All
So
right.
I'm
Well, that's
gonna keep a
fine.
screen here, and ooh, don't minimize, baby, maximize. Hold on. Okay, so I'm do both. Okay. All right, it's 7:30. You ready, Boo?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. So we about to get this pop locking and dropping.
All right. Well, it's actually 7:31. I was ready 20 minutes ago, but all right.
Was you ready 20 minutes ago?
I had to do my hair, but that's I was ready.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna get this popping, and I'll just check back for the comments.
All right.
All right, everyone. What is going on? It's 7:31 on Tuesday, so you know what time it is. Time for Steph Love to come at you with Maybe I'm Rambling. It's the cook up, baby. What's up? So tonight's topic, I know some of y'all are like, oh, the tea is coming. Y'all might get a little tea spill. But tonight's topic is it's funny how growing up gay in a Black family, because that's some real trauma. And so it's important for us to have these conversations with everyone, to shed light in the dark. And, I think it's our obligation to have these conversations so that those who come after us, the youngins, don't have to experience the same things that we did. And a lot of this was inspired, one, because Tevis and I have a lot of our own random conversations about different things. That's my boo, and I'll introduce him in a second. But also there was a tweet probably like a year or two ago, and I'm paraphrasing, that talked about Jada and Willow Smith, and that they are what it looked like for Black kids to grow up free or something like that. So again, I'm paraphrasing. And then I'm thinking about all the stuff that happened once Zaya Wade came out, and the attack that Black folk had on Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade and Zaya. And what people don't realize is that the way that Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union stood up for their daughter, and the way that Zaya is able to be herself, is what it means for Black identified LGBTQ folk to be free and to live free. And so those are things that I want y'all to keep in mind. I got people texting me, hold on. But before I respond to this text, I just want to introduce my boo. We met in 2017 and been in love ever since. It's our anniversary, baby. It's 3 years. 3 years, baby.
I know.
Tevis Bryant. We are two individuals, two caramel cubes out here. And we both grew up in Bridgeton, New Jersey. So if you don't know about Bridgeton, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. I love my city, but it's a mess, right? And so we didn't know each other from Bridgeton. We actually met at a professional conference, and it's been love at first sight ever since. So Tevis, tell the folk about yourself.
All right, so yeah, like Stephanie said, I'm from Bridgeton, New Jersey. We met from both working in higher education at a conference. I think it was AFA. And like she said, we just connected the dots. We knew some of the same people, some of the same places and things like that. And so it's been love ever since. Again, I'm still working in higher education, and I'm also in my doctorate program I'm getting ready to defend my proposal at the end of January. Super excited about that. I've been working on this paper like nobody's business. And my actual topic is why I really wanted to come on and speak to you about this, because I'm writing about some of these same things that happen within the community, specifically for gay Black men and how they experience racism on gay dating apps. But a lot of that ties into what they experience in their family environments and how they perceive themselves, and how they're received within the broader community. And so I'm just super excited to be here, and I can't wait to get into this tea. I got my wine ready. So
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. That's so real. And yeah, we need more conversations about this. So yeah, I don't know why it's texting me. It says I'm live. So the first segment that I did of Maybe I'm Rambling came out in August. And I pretty much gave my coming out story. So people know about my story, but I'm just interested in knowing a little bit about yours. So
Okay.
when did you know like you were going to be the father snatcher?
Right, absolutely. And so we're gonna get into that tea too. But
Okay.
I go ahead and give you a little tidbit of my coming out story. So for me, it was just almost instinctual, right? I knew I was attracted to men or interested in men, not necessarily like romantically attracted, but I was always drawn to men more than I was to women in a way that I couldn't explain, but I knew what it meant. And I loved women too, because some of the women in my life were the most influential people that I can think of. But it was more like, oh, I want to be like her. I like the way her hair is laid. I wish I could do that with mine, type of thing. But I always just felt it. I always knew, and my family always knew. I was treated differently. You know, I grew up, unfortunately, in a household full of violence and physical abuse because of my orientation. And I knew that um, when I was 5 years old, I was going to school with bruises and just marks all over from my dad, um, who just condemned me being me. And I never fully understood it until I got to being like 7 or 8. And then I understood, all right, he's hit me because I'm gay and I can't do anything about it. I want to be more tough or more masculine, or I want to project that, but it's just not authentic to me. It don't feel normal. So it's something that I've always known. And, you know, that physical abuse went on from, like I said, from 5 till about, 16. And so when I got to being 15, I was in high school, some of my friends started coming out, and I was like, you know what, if I come out, the abuse will probably stop, because then I'm just getting in front of it. That just made it worse. I think coming out at 15, I did have those advantages of being in high school and having the child study team and caseworkers and things like that, because they kind of laid down the law to my father, and they said, you know what, you touch it again, you get locked up.
Damn.
But it had been going on for a decade at that point. Like I was literally, excuse my French, getting my ass beat for the smallest things, for wearing a purple hoodie, or for saying a word that was too gay. And, you know, I came out thinking it was going to help, but when my father couldn't put his hands on me physically, it became psychological. It became him turning my mom against me and really putting a gap between our relationship, because during my coming out, I had her. She was an ally the best way that she knew how to be one, in terms that she was navigating having a gay son in a Black community, having a husband who's completely against it, and her religious beliefs, but that mother instinct, trying to navigate all of that. And in trying to navigate all that, he took advantage of that struggle that she was dealing with, and really just destroyed our relationship. Um, and that's all of that to say, just to give you a little piece of my coming out. But I made that final step when I was 15, just thinking it was going to do some good, but it didn't.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Wow. Would you say that your relationship with your family now is like non-existent? in repair? What does that look like?
It's done. Stephanie, I came out, like I said, when I was 15, which they had already knew since I was a little kid, everyone knew. But I came out officially when I was 15. Um, and I thought that time was just going to make my parents get over it, right? But I do remember specifically when I came out, both my parents said, we knew that this was coming, but we'll never accept it. And I tell people all the time, that's the one promise they never broke because they have never accepted it. I'm almost 30 years old and they have not accepted it recently. And it's kind of emotional for me. So I'm sorry. But I just had to, like, I had to end my relationship with my mom because it was not serving me, right?
Yeah.
And I just held on to I held on to it so long because she was the closest thing to a parent I can remember. And I did everything that I could to just like be the perfect son. I went and got a bachelor's degree, got a master's degree, finishing up a doctorate. I did everything, straight A student, vocalist out this world. We ain't gonna talk about that. But I just tried to excel in everything that I did to make her proud. And again, 15 plus years later, nothing changed. And the last straw for me was me talking to my mom about meeting my boyfriend. And I said, he's very important to me and I really want you to meet him. You met my sister's girlfriend. So are we going to do this? And she said, I will meet the person you're with when you're with a girl. And I said, well, you gonna meet my girlfriend when pigs fly because
what?
Talk to a girl in a minute. Yeah. So it's the relationship is non-existent. But I say that and I get emotional about it because I think about what could have been. I'm at a place where I'm at peace with it. Yeah. So don't let the tears fool you. It's just that little boy still hurting somewhere inside of me. But the adult in me knows it was for the best because I was doing everything. I was initiating conversations. I was trying to make it work. And literally, it's been 15 years. You can't change someone if they don't want to change. You can't make someone love you. And I always felt that a parent's love is supposed to be unconditional.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mom's love for me was conditional. It was under the conditions that I did what she wanted me to do, which was not like men. And that's like telling me not to breathe, honestly. And it might sound dramatic, but that's who I am. That's who I've known myself to be. And I just got to a place where I learned and I understand the lingo where I know who I am.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm at the point, like I said, I'm almost 30. If you're not for me, you're against me, regardless if you're family or not. So I'm just, my relationship with my family is or my parents specifically is non-existent, and I'm okay with that.
So with your parents, it's non-existent, but you still have a relationship with your sister?
Yeah, so my siblings are cool. They were like, like my team when I came out, they were like, oh, we knew you were going to do this, or this is who you are, so we're going to back you up. And even my siblings have tried to have several conversations with my parents over the years and just nothing. But again, I find it very interesting because there is hypocrisy in the way that we're treated because my sister's lesbian. And that's viewed completely differently. There's still that religious, we don't accept it, but my sister can come up in the house, she can bring her girlfriend up there. Everything is good with that, right? And my mom makes a comment, she throws her shots at my sister, but it's different. And I don't know if that's because one, she's a woman, two, because she's the oldest or what, or just the broader perception of like women being with women is more sexualized and that's okay. Yeah. Or anything like that. But I just know that there's definitely different. But that being said, my siblings are all on board and they're all allies, and I couldn't be more grateful to have them.
Wow. Yeah, it's always the siblings, right? Like I call my brother my personal superhero because he's the first person that I came out to. And I talked about this in like the first episode. I was like, I was trying to end a fight that we were having over email. I was like, watch this. for the win. And just the way that he embraced me and was like, baby, like I've been new. I've been waiting for you to figure out who you were. And so I'm gonna take you to your first pride parade. I mean, anybody that I've dealt with, he's the first person to meet them. Like, not that I would look for his approval, but I know that he's a safe space. And that's not always the case. And it's funny that you said you weren't sure if, like, for your mom it was different, for your sister if it was different, because I mean, I'm the only one, right, in my family, right? But I remember like dating, and when I finally like came out, and I think the first female that I brought home, she wanted to come down with my family for the holidays. I was like, this is gonna be a whole holy mess. And my mom is in the South. And so I got all of these rules. When you get here, don't be touching each other, don't be kissing each other. And I'm like, but so-and-so over there can lick on, you know, their boo's face, and they can do all of these things, right? And so now I'm in a panic of, if we are laughing at something and you happen, you know how we get the kicking and we like smack each other, like, if you touch me, is it going to be a whole situation, right? And so you are moving in this fear and this uncertainty.
Right.
And then I mentioned that to my mom, and she was like, oh, it's because we were in the South. And it's like, Mom, I love you, right? There's no shade, but it's like, if your fear is for what happens outside of your door, that's one thing, express that. But inside your house, I should be able to be free and be me.
Right.
So is it your fear that you're projecting onto me? Because the day that I woke up and was like, oh, I'm a whole lesbian, I already knew I had issues, right? I already knew that the world was against me, right? I was like, I got them all, black woman and gay, I'm
right.
I already knew. So are you projecting your fear onto me, or are you projecting your biases, right? And that's the question. I think your own personal hatred. And I'm like, can we stop masking parents? Can we stop masking your hate of the LGBTQ community as fear, and just be honest about who the hell you are? You know what I mean? And if you're not gonna, if you can't love me the way God made me, then leave me alone. You know, so I think that walking away from that toxic relationship with your mother, I mean, you and I talked about this. That was like one of the bravest things you could have done. That was one of the best things you could have done for your own mental and emotional health.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it definitely was like, I feel like it was worse than heartbreak, because it's almost like you're detaching from a piece of yourself. Yeah. And again, like, you know, quite honestly, my parents wasn't shit. Like, they just wasn't. But I had hoped that there was just something that made them want me, or want them to, or something that made them proud of me, right? And the way that she responded to that, all of it, and just her willingness to be like, okay, I got other kids. I was like, all right, bet. So, you know, it definitely was, it was heartbreak. It was just intense heartbreak. But I do find it very, like, in general, not specifically with my mom, but like the hypocrisy of like the Black community's perceptions of the gay community. And I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about specifically when you have like this narrative of Black women not being protected. It seems like Black communities will ride a wave until it doesn't align with their values, right? Or morals within the community. So we'll have this narrative, Black women aren't protected. And then we'll all be on board with that. We have Black Lives Matter. We're all on board with that. Let's go. We have F the police. Yes, I hate them too. But then we start talking about members of the LGBTQ plus community of color, and it's crickets. Or these same people who are supporting these causes, you'll see them post things like, why do they have to have men kissing on TVs? They're doing too much in power and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I just watched y'all rinky dink asses kiss for the past 30 years and said nothing. That ain't make me straight. Well, so where's that logic? I don't understand it. So again, I bring that up because it's definitely a flaw within the Black community. I
Yeah.
think that we don't fully support each other the way that we should, and it's specific around queerness. It's not anything else. I think when people brought to light that Black women aren't protected, I think a lot of Black men reevaluated their habits, right? And they talked about it. They talked about police brutality in the Black community. Ain't nobody talk about the Black trans people being killed or the Black gay people being killed. Where's that movement?
Yes.
But to that point, I think it segues to a larger issue. And I don't know how you personally feel about this. I take great issue with the fact that as a gay Black man, I'm called LGBTQ. I don't like it. And I'm going to tell you why. And I think a lot of people have issues with it. You lump us together. You lump us together by doing that. And that's problematic. I think BIPOC is a problematic term for me because you're just lumping us in. Stephanie, you're a Black lesbian woman. It comes with its own set of issues. I'm a Black gay man because we're both not straight. We're LGBTQ. We don't have the same experiences. That's problematic.
Yeah.
I understand why we got to use the word.
Right.
I understand why we got to use it, but it's problematic because, again, that clusters us, and then it creates this idea for everyone that's not of the community that we're all the same, and it minimizes all of our issues.
Yeah.
And that is part of the problem as well. So, you have the Black side or the Black community side that's an issue, but there's that issue of just lumping everything together. So I just thought that needed to be said as well.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. My thing has always been, and I had to check in with myself on this, but I hate labels, right? And so you have forced me into this box, right? And so, and me being who I am, I'm stubborn. So you're forcing me because I have only been with women for I don't know how long now, right? Doesn't mean I don't find men attractive. I just don't want to marry the dude, right? Like I'm like this doesn't really suit me. It doesn't fit in my value system. But God forbid tomorrow when I decide to go out into these COVID streets, I find a dude that I want to be with. Now I have to change my label. Why can't I just be Stephanie, the lover? You know what I mean? Like let me be the lover. Let me be me. You know what I mean? I get tired of getting put into a box, because you're right, because you lump us in and you assume that our experiences are the same. And I've never said all of this out loud to anyone. I don't think I talked to myself in this space, but I'm glad somebody else is on board with I hate that stuff. But to make society comfortable and understand, right? We have to go with these boxes.
Right. And let me clarify. I'm okay with labels because I think that they help us identify things. They help us navigate the world around us. Like if you didn't have a label on ketchup or mustard, you would just think, what are they? You have that broader label, condiments. So that's how I break it down, and that's how I make sense of it. You need to know what things are, but I feel like the LGBTQ alphabet soup acronym is just so lazy. Like it was just pish posh. They were just like, here, we're gonna put them all up in gay. Like we gonna put them all in there.
They all doing that same thing.
Right, they all do the same thing. Like, and I think about I don't know if it was Mark. It was Martin. I was watching an episode of Martin, and that makes me think about him. He was like, "Oh, something broke," and so that's those stereotypes about who we are, and they just like, here, you something. You ain't straight, so you here.
Right. Well, we don't know what to do with you. And it's the same thing that we complain about. Like we both work in higher education. We get mad and we argue with folks about othering, but we're othered all the time.
Right.
Right. And then we just have to deal with it. If people don't recognize that on top of that othering within the LGBTQ plus community, we got our own issues because the white folk in that space don't treat us right either.
Listen, do we got time for that?
We got time for whatever you want, baby. I mean, we're supposed to be talking about the family, but
Because I'll go in.
I know that's gonna be a whole other. We need a group session on that. We're gonna get
everybody to that one.
So let me ask you this, because I I share openly about the fact that like I go to therapy, and so I've recently started engaging in not just talk therapy but also psychotherapy. So I'm seeing two different people, getting my whole life together. And today what showed up for me in my psychotherapy session with the fact, and I forgot about this, but between the ages of like 7 and 9, I contemplated suicide because I knew, because I heard my daddy say, if any of my kids are gay, I will disown them. I knew it was rumored in my family, my mama's side, like one of my uncles was gay, and I could hear all the things that they were saying. Yeah. Now, to this day, I don't know if uncle was ever actually gay. I don't know his life, right? But I heard all these things, and the thought for me was, it'll be better if I'm not here, because there was so much pain. And like I had forgotten about that. I literally knew exactly where all my dad's pills were and was ready. I don't know what pulled me back, but that's the point that I got to, because I was like, I don't get to be Stephanie. I don't get to live wild and free. I don't get to show up as me. I have to perform if I want a family, right? Or I can be me and be lonely as fuck. And that has brought up so much for me today. That's why I was like, I've been trying to detox, but we're going to drink tonight because, you know, that's a coping mechanism right now. And so I'm just wondering, like, with everything that you went through, from, you know, the physical abuse and now even with, you know, the breakup in the relationship with your mother, like, at any point in your life, once you discovered who you were, did you ever think about like ending it?
Yeah. And it was more so early on. And it kind of goes back to that question about siblings, or the conversation we had around siblings, because if I didn't have them, I might not be here. Right. And so you know, my brothers and I, we laugh about everything. And I know it's not a topic that we should be making fun of, but, you know, when I was younger, we had like a bunk bed situation. And it was the same situation where I had a relative who was gay. Everyone knew he was openly gay. And he got trashed. He got hit, like, back kicked in, but not by the family, by my mom. Right. And I was hearing that every time that he came up in conversation. And so I just felt like, you know, this is somebody she was cool with, like close. And then he came out, and then it was like, you're nothing to me. And I just knew it was inevitable for me to come out. Right. And so I was around like 7 or 8, and we had a bunk bed contraction, my brothers and I. And so I took a wave cap, and I tried to strangle myself with it, with one of the bars at the top. And, you know, it snapped. Obviously, thank goodness, a wave cap is thin. The strings are thin. So it snapped. And I was just like, well, this ain't gonna work. So how else can I do it? Right. So I went in the pill cabinet, because that didn't work. And I ran in the bathroom, and luckily, my older brother T, he knocks on the bathroom door. And he's like, "What are you doing in there?" And he heard me crying. And I was like, I said I was pooping. I'm pooping. He said, "No, you're not." And he bust through the door. And he saw everything. And we sat on the floor crying. And he was like, "Why are you trying to do this?" And I said, "Because they'll never love me." And he said, "If you're not here, you make it easy for them. They think something wrong with you, something wrong with them. I need you here. We need you here. You need to be here because you're not done yet." And you striking emotions. But yeah, you know, just thank goodness for my siblings. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Because I felt worthless. I felt like I wasn't good enough. And my siblings had to remind me every time I got to a dark place that I was good enough. I wasn't getting that from my parents, which is the place you normally would get it as a kid. Yeah. And I didn't get it from my siblings all the time until I was in a place like that. And they just happened to be in the right place at the right time. You know, I'm the youngest of seven, and so I was always outshadowed. There was other things going on with other siblings. I was never a focal point.
Mm.
Um, but I was the focal point of abuse because of who I was.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. So, yeah, again, I mean, I'm grateful that T was there because T watched what I went through, and they were scared of my dad too. Like, you know, he never did anything to them, but they were scared. Like, he was the type that would evoke fear. It was toxic masculinity. He would stomp around the house so you knew he was walking. His presence was there. He was smoking, blow smoke in your face. Like, he was very just toxic and damaging to all of us. Um, and they saw what I went through, and he just made me feel like it's going to be okay, and this ain't going to be your life for the rest of your life. Just get
Right.
through high school, and you know that was his narrative. Whenever I went through something, when you know I walked to school with bruises on my leg or a twisted ankle, he was like, "This ain't going to be your life. Just graduate, go to college, and you don't got to deal with it no more."
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I thought about it, I tried it, and I was fortunate to have that angel on my shoulder, which was my brother, telling me not to do it.
Wow. Oh my God. I yeah, you gonna have me holding myself. My journal entry tonight gonna be long messing with you.
I'm sorry.
You know? No, it just because I think about how many of us, right, who like we out here, we're thriving today, right? Or at least we give the appearance of thriving. Um, like have gone through this and we've not had these conversations. And how does that feeling up from a young age of I don't I shouldn't be here, life would be better if I wasn't here, or I'm worthless, right? Like I'm not worth loving, I'm unlovable, all those different things that we put on ourselves. How is that shown up for us like today? Like as grown ass people, how has all of those words, because words have so much power. And I think that parents forget the things that they speak over their children, how that will impact them as adults and how that would impact them when they become parents. And I'm just wondering, I mean, for you, I know my mess, but for you, like, how has this shown up, like, in your adult life?
It for me, it's very prevalent in romantic relationships. You
Okay.
know, I feel like it's easy to portray you're good. And that's why that narrative check on your strong friends came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always been independent and I've always just had projected being confident. But when I started dating my boyfriend, all of my insecurities from my family came out. And he has to remind me, and he does. He the shit. He
We do
reminds
like
me that
they. We do like they.
we do like, you know, you might love him a little bit, but he no, he reminds me every day. He tells me I'm beautiful. He tells me I'm good enough. He asks me why I'm insecure. He was like, "Yo, got nothing to be insecure about." And but he also knows my family trauma. He knows what runs deep. He knows what has been said and done to me, and that's something I'll always work through, and I'll never get rid of it for the rest of my life because, like you said, words cut deep. And I was hearing this from the age of 5. My dad
Mm,
was telling me I wasn't good enough at 5. I was the milkman's baby at 5. Couple that with physical abuse, I will never get over that. While I
mm,
forgive him and I forgive my mom because that's helping me heal, I I don't forget. You just don't. You can't forget something
yeah.
so traumatic, and so
Yeah.
it's gonna always stay with me. And whenever something negative happens, that seeps into the back of my mind. Like, well, the people who birthed you said you wasn't good enough, so are you?
Yeah.
And then you develop all these things like imposter syndrome, and you just like, oh shit, can I do it?
Yeah. Yeah. Be like the little things too.
Yes, it was small things. And it's really hindered my doctoral process because I hit writing blocks thinking like, all right, when this is done, because to be real with you, a lot of the reasons I progressed so far and pushed to go so far was to make my mom proud or to make her finally approve of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then losing that, disconnected from that, I'm like, shit, what's my purpose now? how do I get to the next step? So I
Yeah.
hit this period in my just like, that's why it's taking me so long to get to the proposal phase, because I'm just like, I don't have to write no more. I'm
Ooh.
stuck with this student loan debt for nothing, for
Right.
nothing, because I
Right.
have nobody to make proud. And then I just had to, my angel of a brother T, I had to speak to him, and he got me out of it. And he's like, "You doing this for you? All of that, they may have been the motivation, but you did the work, so
Yeah.
they can't take that away from you." So I mean, it's real. It's going.
No, no. Oh
It
my
definitely
God.
impacts me. It
Yeah.
impacts me in my everyday, even when I'm not thinking about it. Sometimes it just creeps in. I'll think about, I wonder how or who I would be if I had a daddy, because people don't understand that my father was physically in the house, but it was like living with a stranger
Mm.
for the entire time I was there. I went to the dentist with this man. He did not know my middle name. He didn't know my birthday. He's filling out my form while I'm still in high school, and I'm giving him my information, my blood type. I'm like, but we don't speak in the house. My parent, the only parent that I knew of was my mom. He was just a figure that invoked fear, and people don't understand that.
Mm. Yeah.
So that stays with me too. I used to have nightmares about that motherfucker. I used to be chasing me with axes and shit. And I was like, whoa. And that, I feel like that's low key why I started going to the gym to
Yeah.
get strong. Cause I was like, when I get older, I'm gonna whoop his ass. Like, I'm gonna give it back to him
Yeah.
tenfold. And once I finally got big, I was just like, what's the point? I'm better than him.
Right. It's
I'm
not even
better than
worth
him.
exerting that
But if
energy.
he try it, he can catch all of these
Ready.
hands.
Ready. Ready. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's interesting because, like I said, when we first opened, like we grew up in Bridgeton. And
Mhm.
so we didn't go to school together, whatever. I'm older than you, whatever.
Right.
Shut your mouth. Don't say nothing slick. I know how you do. Um that's right, sip your wine.
Mhm.
But I know growing up in Bridgeton for me, and I wasn't out in Bridgeton, just growing up in Bridgeton for me was hell. So like what was it like for you, especially coming out? Because you came out, you were in high school. So what was it growing up in the bridge and being gay? Because I don't know that life.
And here's the deal. I just felt like I projected bad bitch energy because I didn't have issues coming out.
Okay.
Like the straight men, they were all on board with it. They were more like protected than anything. They were like, oh, don't say nothing about him or that type of thing. In middle school, it was bad. Grade school was bad. High school, it was what it was because people already had their assumptions. And then when I finally said it, it was like all the teasing or comments stopped when I owned it. And then after that, found myself just becoming popular. I got homecoming king. I was the, head of the track team. And all of these things just fell in line when I became who I was.
Yeah.
And then it was just weird. It was like a dichotomy between going home and being hated for it and going to school and being embraced for it. And that's when I decided I was going to sign up for every after school activity to minimize the time I had to be in the house.
Yeah.
So I just did everything. I did choir, I did musicals, I did sports, I did clubs, I was class president. I didn't care.
When did you sleep?
I did. That was the point. I was because the longer I was in the house, the more likely I was getting hit.
Right.
So I had to find a way to survive. And that was my way of surviving. But it was very interesting. Like the high school environment, as soon as I said it, as soon as I owned up to it, oh, well, we thought so anyway. And I remember I was at the lunch table because I said, well, straight this because I'm on the track team and most of them play football. So I'm sitting with them. And after I came out, this is when dude Charmaine was like, but you won't be looking at us, right? And I was like, first of all, he had the ashiest lips, but we ain't even gonna get into it. But I was like, no, I'll be looking at you. And then after that, nothing. No one bothered me. No one said anything. And then that's when I decided to, tell my mom. If
Mhm.
Because of how well it was received by
Right.
me.
Yeah. I it took me a while to tell my parents. I said this, I didn't come out until to other folk until I was in college. But I didn't tell my parents until I graduated from college.
Mm.
And it's funny because I was mad at my parents. My parents separated my last year in college. And so right after I graduated, I moved my mother to South Carolina. So I was mad at my parents. So I did an Aaliyah move and I wrote my parents each like a 4-page letter. And at this point, because I'm me, right? I'm extra. I was like, and I don't care if you don't like me, F you kind of attitude, right? I ain't curse at them. But that was basically the tone of it. It's like, this is who I am. And I already know that you said that you won't like accept me. So it's fine. You know, my mom's thing was, I was living with my girlfriend at the time. It was funny. She's like, wait, why don't you just move down here? She making you have sex with her to have a place to stay. And I'm like, I am willingly participating in these activities, ma'am. Like, willingly. But is it like, I commend you because I was never brave enough to say it. But even then, like, even after I wrote this letter and then I had that conversation with my mom, right? Like, it was still like, can I say this? So now, even now, all these years later, I feel like I'm still like testing the water sometimes. So I will say like over the top things. Like my siblings and I were talking about doing like a siblings trip. And I was like, wait, y'all bringing y'all partners with y'all? Let me go find some hoes. Like, so now I'm just doing extra, right? Because I don't mean that, right? But I feel like I have to do it to test the test. Like, do you love me? Do you still accept me? And that is one of the most difficult things, to never be able to fully feel like you can be yourself, and be safe in with your own blood.
Right.
With your own blood. Man. I don't know, like with your other family, like your cousins and stuff. How does that look?
It's normal. You know,
Yeah.
whenever everybody else is cool. They're like, when are you bringing your boyfriend to meet us? It's just, I think again, people knew, like, the signs were there. I mean, I embraced it at an early age, and so people had time to get used to it. If they truly loved me, right? They had
Right.
time to get used to it, and it just, my parents never did. They never got on board with everybody else. My grandparents are fine with it. Like, it's just, it is what
Wow.
it is.
Yeah. But no, that's great that you have that love. I was thinking about the conversations that I had with my father. Actually, like this weekend, and we were talking about like acceptance, and like that phrase, unconditional love. And I don't have a great relationship with like anybody. Like both sides of the family, like cousins and stuff, they're not strong relationships, and been trying to work on that, at least with like my paternal cousins. And we were talking about my one cousin, and he was like, you got to extend the olive branch. Why don't you, invite her out to do blah, blah, blah. I said, but Pop, she actively posts on social media about how disgusting gay folk are. So you can't tell me that she loves me, but she hates me. So you want me to pretend, right, with this person to develop this relationship when she can only love a part of me. She can love the part of me that I pretend to be to make her comfortable. Right. And I was like, that shit is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I even looked at my dad and I said, if you had not matured, we wouldn't have a relationship right now. And I think that society, or at least like our parents' generation, believe that just because they gave us life, we're supposed to love and accept and embrace whatever disrespect that they bring.
Right. Like we're indebted to them.
Right. Like, I didn't ask you to lay down with so-and-so unprotected and act the whole thing on full. I did not ask for that.
Right. Absolutely. And, I have that same, or my parents have that same mindset where I need to be grateful. Um, and I think one thing specifically with my mom that I noticed, where I really started to get a feel for that unconditional love was you it's kind of that same thing where you have this idea of you hate homosexuality, but you swear to yourself that you love me, you love all your kids. But I will tell you this, quite honestly, I've never had a conversation with my mom that was longer than 2 minutes. And I
Mhm.
timed it every single time we got on the phone. It was always a minute or in 30 seconds. And it was only when she wanted money.
Oh,
Only when she wanted money. Wasn't to call to check on me to see how I was doing,
yeah.
how classes were going. So it was always a means to something. And then that also helped me just like sever that relationship and be okay with doing it because I was one of the many. It
Mhm.
wasn't a real genuine regard for my health and safety and well-being. It was more like, oh, well, he's the one that's doing the best. So let me get
Ah,
some points from him, but I still don't like his gay ass. And so,
right.
you know,
You
it,
can't
it,
have
it
one
was that
without the other.
right, and but it was that whole idea of being indebted to her because she would
Yeah.
always say, all these years I done paid for X, Y, and Z. But again, where was this energy with my college tuition? Says because you were willing to pay for my brothers, ain't
Yeah.
helped me out a lick.
Wow.
My straight brothers,
Right. Right.
because
I
we have to
I
make
gotta
that
I had
distinction.
right. No. I know. I have to do this because I don't want my mom to hurt feelings. My mom is in the comments. She said, "I would love you no matter what." Mama, I know. Um, and you have grown a lot. Our relationship has grown a lot. And so I'm thankful for that because not everybody has this story. So I'm thankful for that. But it's important to shed light on when y'all wasn't mature. Because a lot of parents are today where you were, and we have to change that. And so they need to hear Tevis's story so they can see the kind of BS that they do and the way in which you can take someone who has so much to give and ruin them before they step into their passion and their purpose to the point that they could take their own life.
And Mama Stephanie, I want to jump in. I can't see what you counted,
I
but
know.
I just want to, but I want to say something to you as well because I do appreciate the fact that you decided to make the necessary changes to be in your child's life because you could be in a situation where you're like me and my mom, we're disconnected completely,
Yeah.
and again, my whole idea of having a parent is that they have this unconditional love, but clearly from our conversation and my experience, my mom's love for me was conditional. So I do appreciate the fact that you did what you needed to do to stay in
Yeah.
your child's life. And that just gives me hope that I'll have that from someone one day. It might not necessarily be my biological mother, but
Mhm.
maybe some older female figure will just jump into my life and fill that void. Because it is going to be a void. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's there. That hurt is going to be there. So I just want to commend you on that, and I respect it definitely as someone who just didn't get it.
I'm gonna bring you home to my mama so my mama can give you a hug. She claimed 4'11", but she really 4'10" and a half, but I'm gonna let her have the
Right.
half inch because she just gonna fall right. She gonna fall right in. There you go. She get the best tightest hugs.
Yes.
So I'm gonna bring you home so mama can hug you.
I do too. You see these guys?
And I get it. I'm working on it, boo. I'm trying to get the definition. I'm here listening. What? I'm trying to come in the summer 21, like, you know what I mean?
I'm
Sexual caramel.
prepared.
Oh man. I mean, how do you think these experiences will shape you as a parent?
Well, I think these experiences are the reason I want to be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have grown so much in my hatred towards my parents to forgiving them and to just letting them out of my life, but learning from their failures and their
Yeah.
missteps. And I just really want to give a child the experience that I couldn't have and that I didn't have. And I have like, I'm a soft person, a softie, but can fight. So for all y'all out there, I can fight. But no, I'm a
Period.
softie and I have all this love that I just want to give to someone else aside from my partner. And I feel like, you know, my parents did me a disservice by taking away my childhood. And I'm just being straight. They did me a
Yeah.
disservice by taking away my childhood, but they did me a favor by giving me the tools to navigate the world on my own. Because without that adversity, I would not be here. And without being here, I wouldn't be the person that I am and have the love that I have to project and give to a child or give to you or give to anybody else in the world. Because of that dark period in my life, I just want to make everybody else's world better,
Mm.
however I can. And so I can't wait to be a parent. I can't, and I joke around with people all the time. I joke around with my boyfriend. I tell him I'm going to whoop our kids' asses. Yeah, but I won't.
Right.
I got like
Walk all
trauma
over
even
you.
think about being. I'm like, oh no, I love you. I'm sorry. I beat
Right.
myself before I hit this. But no, I just think that they did me a favor by giving me that experience because I just, again, I want to give it back 10 times better, a million times better for a little
Yeah.
kid, whether that be my biological child or a kid I adopt. They need me. And there was a quote. I went to a diversity presentation probably 3 years ago now, 2.5, 3 years ago. And the keynote speaker said, there's someone out there counting on you that you haven't even met yet. And
Ooh.
I always think about that, and it stuck with me. I don't even remember his name, but but that
Mhm.
line, and if I see his face, I will, I know him that way, but it stuck with me and it's how I navigate moving forward now. Like there's somebody needing me. So I have to be on 100. Even when I'm not on 100, how do I get back there to give to someone? So yeah, I'm
I
just
can't.
ready to be a dad.
I can't. Listen, I say all the time, and people think I'm joking, but like, I cannot wait to get somebody's daughter pregnant. I cannot. I cannot. Like, I know God did what he did on purpose because if I had an actual penis, I probably had 50, 11 kids running around here because
Right.
I would show enough be Jody, like whisper, like, have my baby. Okay. Like that
All
would be,
right.
you know what I mean? But
Right. God
I
didn't have to make me
cannot
straight.
wait. Right.
He knew what he was doing.
I
He
was
said,
like,
okay, bad B in the
nope.
making. Nope.
Right. He's like, we gotta calm this one down. But
Right.
I cannot wait. Like my clock is ticking, and I'm like, yo, I actually have to start dating like seriously in 2021
Right.
because like by 2022, somebody's daughter needs to be pregnant. I want my maternity shoot. You know what I mean? I
Right.
want
Right.
belly. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But not just that. Like I just think about like to raise another little human and to be able to give them the freedom and the space to explore who they are and live in their truth from day one.
Right.
From day one.
And I
And
think our generation is more intentional about that stuff,
yeah,
right? Even like my other peers, regardless of orientation, just watching them raise their kids, they're a lot more direct and open with how they're raising their kids. It's more of a dynamic rather than you, my kid, I'm telling you what to do. This is how you
yeah,
about to grow up. And so
yeah,
I think that's more healthy. And
yeah,
you younger kids or unborn children that are coming up now, they're going to receive more love and they're going to be more equipped to navigate the world around them
yeah,
because they're using emotional intelligence other than this just instinctual, like these are the steps to navigate life. Because I
yeah,
feel like in raising children that way, no, not at any of the parents who raise their children that way, but I think you're missing so many things like how to do your taxes or how to like do these small things. I feel like we didn't get that.
right,
Nobody
at
sat
all.
down and said, this is how you do this. This is how you felt the fact. Like none of that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like our generation is a lot more intentional with their parenthood, with anything that they do. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just again to your point. I'm super excited to raise kids. I can't wait for a paternity shoot. I'm gonna have a little pillow under my stomach because I'm gonna be the pregnant one. Barefoot and pregnant, like.
I be looking at everybody's stuff like, okay, so I want that. I don't want that. I mean, I'm not going to lie. And like, because I've been having these feelings, right? And I've been in a lot of conversation with God. Everyone knows I'm a spiritual person. And I had this image because I mean, from the conversation we had about she who shall not be named, right? Like, we had a whole like plan, but that's dead and gone. But I had this image that was given to me, and I was like, oh my God, I want that. And I've always wanted a son, right? Just because I want us to go get matching fits and act the whole fool, right? It's nothing, because I don't want to deal with you not knowing how to pee straight. I don't want to deal with that. But I do I do want to have matching outfits, right? The cute stuff. But I had this image of this beautiful little girl. And I'm like, I want my daughter, right? And then I was like, I want multiple kids now. I'm like, who are you? So yeah, somebody look, public service announcement. That's Love, aka Stephanie, who's trying to get pregnant this year.
Right. There you go.
What's up? I'm just putting that out there. Let's go 2021, pregnancy time. Pop, pop. But any and if you're willing to carry for Tevis as partner, we can talk about that too.
Okay. They're gonna have some pretty eyes.
To be related. Yes. But before we sign off, and I drop my little gems, do you have like any messages for either, parents or, folks that are going through like the things that, we went through, especially the things that you went through right now, like any words of encouragement, advice?
Yeah, I feel like for anyone who had a similar experience or even a worse experience that I had, just saying it'll get better is enough, and reminding yourself that it'll get better is enough. And I know it's a cliche, but it definitely helped me. And I did have the benefit of having my brother T to just tell me that over and over again, even when I felt it, and didn't necessarily manifest it, but he just knew something was off. So I just remind yourself that and make a plan if that helps too. I'm a big planner. Like I need a list in front of me. So if you're in a situation like myself where you can't get out the house, you're not allowed out the house, and you're going through some type of abuse, make a vision board or some sort of something that you can control, because in those situations you can't control anything but going to use the bathroom basically. So do something about that. Make a list, make a plan for yourself, because every situation is temporary until you decide to change it or something changes. Right. And so I think that for anyone going through that, that's probably the best thing you can do to make yourself feel okay with it and pass the time. I think for parents, on the other hand, I think you just need to love your kids, regardless of how you expected it to happen. Because when you get pregnant, and I understand that having a sister who had multiple kids and having brothers who have multiple kids, you have expectations for your kids. You want it to be something when they're in the womb before they even get here.
Yeah.
Love them regardless how they decide they're going to live their lives. Because again, you have to remember it is their life, not yours. You had your life, you lived it. For the most part, you are living it. So let them have theirs. Don't take that away from them.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all I got.
I mean, but that was everything. And I think somebody needed to hear that. And that is going to resonate with them, and they'll meditate on those words, and that could have saved somebody's life, So I want to thank you so much, because you shared your truth. You were vulnerable. And people needed to see that and hear that, so that, when I think about parents or guardians, period, I hope that you watch this and not to attack or, try to, dismiss Tevis's feelings or, my little feelings or whatever, but really take this and think about the things that you are doing as you are raising another human. God created each and every one of us. And with each and every one of us, he put in us a purpose. And so we are all on a path. And yes, some of the things that we're going to experience, God does some things for character development. And some of the harms and traumas that we've experienced will shape us and push us toward great things, right? Maybe some of this trauma, Tevis wouldn't be, on a path to being Dr. Bryant, but maybe that was always his destiny. We don't know. Allow your kids, whoever you're raising, to live their full selves. Because if they decide to go the route that Tevis and I thought about, and we attempted to take our own lives because we thought we weren't good enough or worth living, you messing with God too. And trust and believe. As my shirt say, God don't play about me. God don't play about his. And so karma will come for you. This is not a threat. This is a promise, my friend. Don't play with God's children. And for those of you who think that we aren't God's children, use a whole lot, and I'm gonna need you to go dip yourself in the holy water, because you need prayer, Jesus, and exorcism, and everything else, because your hatred runs deep. And maybe some of your hatred is because you hate yourself. And that's some stuff you need to go sit on somebody's couch for, because maybe you want to be just like us, but you ain't bold enough. So to the parents who ain't doing right by their kids, it's not too late to turn around. Apologize. Just because you gave us life don't mean you can't give us respect. So apologize, make the change. The best apology is change behavior. So change your behavior and get your life together. If there is a person out there that's hurting right now and you feel like you don't have a place to go, hit us up. We family now. You are not alone. A lot of people you'll hear it referred to as family, because it's friends and family combined together. That's a real thing, because for some of us, that's all we have. But find your community to find your peace, and know that you are worth breathing every amount of air, even with your mask on. You are worth every step you take. Your life is worth living. Don't give up, and live your truth. Be free. Screw the haters. With that said, we're going to see y'all next week. Happy New Year. We'll see you back here on the 5th. And we're going to talk about food and racism. I'm going to stop the gay stuff for a second, but I always be back with some flags in your face, flying in your face, because the gay don't stop. We want to thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight. Everybody, make sure you in the comments wish Tevis good luck on his writing, because I need you to pop out this paper, sir. I need this paper.
Listen, it's going to be so lit.
It best be. It better be. I need you to finish so that I can be encouraged to finish.
Right. Well,
this last paper, I gave up.
Right, here you go. I got you. I'm doing it for us.
Do it for us, right? For us. We in this together. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you back here on the live on the 5th, January 5th, for Food and Racism with Anthony Disson. Love you all. It's a cook-up, baby.